Have you ever loved someone who seemed to care deeply, but the closer you got, the farther they moved away? One moment, they're present, attentive, almost soft, and the next, they feel distant, distracted, unreachable. You replay conversations in your head. You wonder if you asked for too much, or felt too deeply, and the silence hurts more than any argument ever could. But what if the truth is quieter than rejection? What if love itself feels overwhelming to them? Not because they don't care, but because caring wakes up something inside them they don't know how to handle. Before we go any further, let's make something clear. This is not a video about blaming avoidant partners, and it's not about shaming people who need closeness either, because both needs connection and distance are human. Some people feel safe when love comes closer. Others feel safe when love gives them room to breathe. Neither is wrong. Today, we're not here to diagnose or label. We're here to understand, to gently explore what happens inside an avoidant partner when love deepens. Standing doesn't excuse hurtful behavior, but it does soften confusion. And sometimes, clarity is the beginning of healing. Avoidant attachment isn't about not wanting love. It's about what love activates. For many avoidant partners, closeness doesn't register as warmth. It registers as pressure, not because the partner is demanding, but because deep connection touches old emotional wiring. Often, long before adulthood, avoidant individuals learned a quiet lesson. Maybe their emotions were minimized. Maybe affection came with conditions. Maybe they had to grow up too quickly, becoming independent before they were ready. So they adapted to rely on themselves, to keep emotional needs contained. And that adaptation worked until love arrived. Because love asks for presence, for emotional availability, for vulnerability. When intimacy increases, something inside them whispers, what if I lose myself? What if they need more than I can give? This isn't a conscious choice. It's a physiological response. Closeness starts to feel like loss of control. Love feels like responsibility they might fail. So instead of leaning in, they instinctively pull back. Not because love disappears, but because fear gets louder. Here's the part most people don't see. Avoidant partners often feel two opposite things at once. They want connection, and they feel overwhelmed by it. They crave intimacy, but only in doses they can regulate. They enjoy closeness until it becomes emotionally intense. This creates an exhausting internal to-go. On the outside, they may look detached, but inside, they're trying to manage rising anxiety. They might think, I like them, but I feel trapped. I miss them, but I need space. I care, but I don't know how to show it without losing myself. This confusion often leads to emotional shutdown, because shutting down feels safer than explaining something they don't fully understand themselves. Imagine this. At the beginning of the relationship, everything feels easy. The avoidant partner is attentive. They initiate conversations. They show affection in small, thoughtful ways. There's laughter, curiosity, emotional openness. But then slowly, the relationship deepens. Conversations become more personal. Expectations become clearer. The bond becomes real. And that's when things shift. Texts take longer to answer. Plans become uncertain. Emotional responses feel shorter, flatter. The partner senses distance and tries to reconnect. They ask, "Are you okay?" They want clarity, not because the question is wrong, but because it touches a fear they don't know how to name. Inside, they might feel pressure to perform emotionally, fear of being dependent on guilt for not being enough. So they withdraw. And from the outside, it looks like disinterest. But from the inside, it feels like survival. For avoidant partners, love often equals expectation. Expectation to show up emotionally. Expectation to prioritize someone else's needs. Expectation to stay consistent, even when overwhelmed. And here's the painful truth. Many avoidant individuals were never taught how to regulate closeness. They weren't shown how to stay emotionally present without losing autonomy. So when love deepens, their nervous system floods. This is called emotional flooding. It happens when feelings arrive faster than someone knows how to process them. Instead of warmth, they feel tightness, restlessness, irritability. The urge to escape distance becomes a way to breathe again. Not because love is unwanted, but because it feels too intense, too fast, too consuming. Here's where things often fall apart. The partner seeking closeness interprets withdrawal as rejection. They think, I must be too much. They don't care. Like I do, I'm not important to them. Meanwhile, the avoidant partner feels misunderstood. They think, why does love feel so hard? Why can't I just relax into this? Why do I feel guilty for needing space? Both people are hurting, but neither feels seen. This gap between intention and interpretation creates emotional distance far greater than physical space ever could. One of the most important things to understand is this. Avoidant withdrawal is not a strategy to hurt someone. It's a strategy to self-regulate. When emotions spike, distance feels like control. Silence feels calming. Independence feels safe. This doesn't mean the behavior doesn't hurt. It does, but it reframes the story. Instead of asking, why don't they care? We begin to ask, what are they protecting themselves from? Often, the answer is not you. It's an old fear of emotional dependence. Here's something rarely spoken aloud. Many avoidant partners feel ashamed of their reactions. They know their distance hurts people. They sense the disappointment. They feel the emotional gap growing. And yet, they don't know how to bridge it safely. So they say things like, I'm just not good at relationships. I need space to think. I don't know what I want. Not because they don't care, but because they don't have language for emotional overwhelm. Shame keeps them silent. Silence keeps them distant, and the cycle repeats. Healthy love requires emotional availability, communication during discomfort, staying present through vulnerability. Avoidant attachment learn the opposite. Handle emotions alone, minimize needs, retreat when overwhelmed. So when love asks for closeness, avoidance responds with distance. This doesn't mean love is impossible. It means love feels unfamiliar, and unfamiliar can feel unsafe. If you're on the receiving end of this dynamic, hear this clearly. Your need for closeness is not too much. Wanting emotional presence does not make you needy. Asking for reassurance does not make you demanding. But it's also important to understand this. You cannot love someone into emotional readiness. No amount of patience can replace no amount of explanation can heal what someone hasn't faced yet. Understanding brings compassion, but boundaries bring safety. Both matter, and if you recognize yourself in this, if love has ever felt heavy instead of comforting, know this, you are not broken. Your need for space doesn't make you cold. Your overwhelm doesn't make you incapable of love. It means you learn to survive without emotional safety. And survival strategies don't disappear just because love arrives. But awareness changes everything. Naming your experience gives you choice. Choice opens the door to connection. Slowly, safely, honestly. Sometimes, love doesn't fall apart because of a lack of feeling. It falls apart because two nervous systems learned safety in different ways. One reaches, one retreats, and neither is wrong. Just unprotected. If there's one thing to remember, let it be this. Love doesn't fail here. Understanding was never taught. With awareness, patience, and emotional honesty, patterns can soften, walls can lower, connection can feel safer. Not all at once, but gently. If this helped you see love, or yourself, with more compassion, subscribe for calm psychology insights that don't judge, rush, or overwhelm. You're welcome to stay.